Today is Tuesday, July 19th, 2016. My name is Edna Sussman. I'm a reference librarian here at the Half Hollow Hills Community Library. We're interviewing Eugene A. Castelli, a World War II Army veteran, as part of our Veterans Testimonial Project and in collaboration with the Library of Congress's Veterans History Project. Thank you so much, Gene, for your service, for being here today and participating in our project.
It's been a pleasure of mine to be here, to be invited at such an event.
Thank you. Gene, where and when were you born?
In the Bronx on September 17th, 1924.
And who were your parents and what were their names and occupations?
Al and Frances Castelli. My dad had his own textile business and a embroidery firm until he took sick. My mother became the breadwinner in the house for my brother Joe and I, and she became a forelady in the textile industry.
What does that do?
She ran making dresses and all that, and she ran the whole...
Oh, like foreman, but
yes,
forelady.
right, yes,
I see.
Right.
Good. And she was a seamstress too?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Now you had a brother, Joe.
Yes, Joey was 4 years younger than I.
4 years.
4 years younger.
Mm-hmm. And did he serve in the military too?
Yes, he did.
Oh.
After me.
After, in what?
He was in the United States Army Air Corps, which it was at that time.
Was he also in World War II? No, after.
He went in the 50s.
Oh, I see.
Before the Korean War.
Okay.
Which is around 1950, I guess. Chigato and I got married in 1948. Joey went in, I think, 1952, 1953.
So before the Korean, really?
Yeah. He was an air policeman with the United States Air Corps, United States Army Air Corps, stationed at Lackland Air Force Base.
Okay. Now, what were you doing before you entered the service?
That is quite a story, and
good, I want to hear.
At the age of 15, all my friends I grew up with, 2 years older than I, in May of 1940, they were all going away to the CMTC, which is the Citizens Military Training Camp, sponsored by the Army. If you went 4 summers in a row, you automatically became a second lieutenant in the Army Reserves.
Oh.
I begged Mom and Dad to sign papers that I was 17 so I can go.
Oh. You had to be 17 or older?
Yes, I was only 15.
Oh.
So finally I convinced them, and I said, Mom and Dad, the war is over in Europe. It's not here in the United States. We have nothing to worry about.
Oh.
So I convinced them, and they signed the papers. And I spent the whole month of July with the 26th Infantry up in Plattsburgh, New York. I came back at the end of July, and now all my friends went into the National Guard, because they're old enough for it. Again, I begged Mom and Dad to sign papers.
Wow. Persistent.
Which they did.
Oh.
So in October of 1940, they had the first draft for all the civilian personnel in America. And that's when they found out my true age, and they kicked me out.
Really? Oh.
So I was going to school at the time.
High school.
In high school.
Yeah.
And there was a job in a textile firm. They were looking for a clerk. I applied for it, and I got the job. And they were a southern firm based, domiciled with corporate headquarters in Greensboro, North Carolina. But they had a big New York office. And the pay at that time was by the month.
Oh.
They were allowed to do it because they were a southern firm. So I was being paid $80 a month. And while I was in service then, twice a year, I would get a bonus check wherever I might have been,
Oh,
and of $80.
nice.
Whether I was in the States or in North Africa or Sicily or Italy, I always got these checks
Nice.
all the time I was in service.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was discharged 3 years plus later, I went back to them. But prior to that, the Army had offered me a big promotion to stay in. They said I had the wherewithal to go up, and they offered me to make me a master sergeant, which would be 3 stripes more on my sergeant. I thought about it, and I want to continue my education.
Oh.
And so I turned it down. Now I'm going to backtrack a second, if I may.
Sure.
When I was playing ball with Carlisle Barracks, Pennsylvania, in Carlisle, Pennsylvania,
Baseball.
we won the 3rd Service Command playoffs, and we were invited to Camp Lee, Virginia, to participate with other clubs. And other clubs included professional baseball players who were taken into service, like Johnny Lindell, a great New York Yankee player. I played against him for 7 games,
Really?
and he liked the way I played second base, but I wasn't a good hitter. I was like a 250 hitter then. But he liked what I did, and he said, when you get out, I'll give you the entree for the Yankee training camp.
Wow.
I said, we were sitting in a sergeant club that night, because at one of the games, he hit a ground ball to second. I went to scoop it up, and it took a bad hop, slipped my lip.
Oh.
So they stitched me up, a couple of stitches, and that night I was sipping beer through a straw.
Oh, God.
And that's the worst thing to do. What a buzz I got.
Oh, that's funny.
But anyway, I thanked Johnny Lindell very much. I said, because what would happen, being a 250 hitter, I'd be on a bus in the mountains in North Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, someplace, going up and down. I'd never make it to the majors as a 250 hitter. He said, well, just think about it in case you ever decide. You know who I am, where I'm at, and here's my number.
Wow.
So I never regretted that I turned it down.
Really?
Never regretted.
Why?
I thought about it, and because I would never have made the majors as a 250 hitter. Today, 250 hitter, he makes $15 million a year.
Wow. Wow. That's a good story. Wow.
So anyway, I stayed with them, with Cone Mills, and got my education.
Well, where were they located?
They were located at 59 White Street, downtown New York City.
Okay.
Corporate headquarters in Greensboro, North Carolina.
So while you were working, you went to school too?
At nighttime.
Oh, okay. So college.
Yes. And so what I got interested in transportation, and after many years of studying, I was admitted to practice commerce law before the Interstate Commerce Commission. That was in May of 1955. I got my papers.
So you went to law school?
Yeah, well, they considered me a Class B attorney. I was never admitted to the bar.
Oh.
This is on the commerce law. All the ins and outs of regulations, how people get authority to operate, whether it be by rail, by water, by air, by motor carrier, etc.
Oh, I see.
And I would also be able to file applications for a company who wanted to expand, or file as a protestant against other carriers looking to get additional authority. And that's what I did.
So you had gone to law school?
Yeah, for commerce law.
Right.
And I did that, and this Carolina Freight Carriers Corporation out of Cherryville, North Carolina. They were a big trucking company operating along the eastern seaboard from Florida to Maine, every state in between. They offered me a sales job, and I took the sales job. And that eventually led me to become a district manager and then a regional sales manager for the Mid-Atlantic area, covering the territory of Norfolk, Virginia, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Maryland, Harrisburg, PA, Carlisle, PA, New Brunswick, New Jersey, Carlsbad, New Jersey, and New York.
Wow.
I had 23 salesmen working for me at the time. I was to maintain my own sales area, my national accounts, such as U.S. Rubber, IBM, et cetera, and also visit with my salespeople and keep up with them. In the beginning, I used to make a trip, go away for 3 or 4 days, and I missed the family completely. The kids were growing up. So what I used to do, I'd leave on a Monday morning, fly to Norfolk, come home that night.
Oh.
Tuesday morning, I'd leave and take a flight into Washington, D.C., come home that night.
Oh my gosh.
The next day, I'd take a flight into Harrisburg, PA, and come home that night.
Wow.
And I did that for 6 years.
No kidding. Must have been exhausted.
Completely. And in between those, I handled cases for the company before the Interstate Commerce Commission.
Oh, wow.
Whether it was to be in Washington, D.C., or in Newark, New Jersey, or in the city. And it was a load.
I'm sure. Huge.
But I enjoyed what I did because I
did.
enjoyed meeting people.
Very nice.
The sales end of it, or discussing in a courtroom.
Wow.
It was most enjoyable. And then eventually, the company decided to eliminate all regional sales managers. So they eliminated the regional sales manager in Chicago, the one in Boston, the one in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I looked at the wall, and in the mirror, and I said, "Gene, you're next." And I was.
Oh.
And it was good.
So then,
in a way.
Did they have another position for you?
No, we were all let go out of the company.
What? Do you remember what year that was?
That was 19, I'll tell you in a moment, 72, 1980, 1981.
You weren't ready to retire.
No. So I'm looking through my paperwork at home this one day, the first week, I didn't do anything. But my wife said, "Relax yourself." So I remember George Imperator, the vice president of sales with this APA Transport in North Bergen, New Jersey. He was a year ahead of me in school. And I wrote, "Dear George, it's possible you might remember me. We had a moot case to handle, and you were ahead of me 1 year."
What school was that?
This is at the Academy of Advanced Traffic, which is a division of the University of Chicago.
Okay. It was in New York?
Yes.
Okay.
In the Woolworth building. So I sent my letter. A few days later, I get a phone call. Would I please come over to North Bergen? So I sat with him, his brother, Arthur, who was the president. There were 4 brothers that started this company. And they hired me.
Wow.
They never had a salesperson for Suffolk County. And they wanted to open up. So they gave me the territory.
All of Suffolk County, here on Long Island.
Yeah. And I thought that was great because their terminal was in Old Bethpage, like 5 minutes from the house.
Nice.
Most enjoyable company. I loved it. And they gave us every tool possible to attract business. A little word about these 4 brothers. They all were in service in World War II. When they got discharged, they brought an old army truck, and out of their household with their mom and dad, they used to move whatever they could. Wash basins, old washing machines, pianos. That's how they started the business. Till they grew into become a giant.
Wow. What was the name of their company?
APA Transport, North Bergen, New Jersey. They finally closed their doors a couple of years ago because the pricing and discounting was getting out of hand, totally out of hand.
So now, you know, we should probably start backtracking, and then we'll come back to what happened when they, at the end of your work, because we want to hear more about your military service too, if you don't mind.
No.
Okay, so you were in the Army, right? And
Right.
you were drafted.
Yes.
Okay. So had you finished high school?
At the time, no.
Oh, so once you were then
I was in my third year, going into my fourth year. I was actually finished up the third year.
of high school.
Yeah.
So after your service, we'll go back, but then you finished high school.
Yes.
Okay. So so you were drafted. Do you remember your training days? Where did you go for basic training?
Yes, I first started at Camp Upton
In New York.
in New York, the island here. And then I went down to Camp Croft, C-R-O-F-T, Camp Croft, Spartanburg, South Carolina, where I took my infantry basic training. Because on the application they said, "Have you ever had any military training, prior military training?" And I put down, yes, I was with the CMTC.
Oh.
So they figured, okay, here's a good rifleman.
Even though that was short, right?
Yes, but I knew training, Army training.
Okay.
I knew how to crawl, I knew how to fire rifles, I knew the bayonet training, the whole bit.
Oh, so you had learned all that during the...
Yes,
Oh.
I did that with the CMTC.
Oh, I see.
So anyway, I did that at Camp Croft, South Carolina, and we finished up our 12-week basic. They gave me a 10-day furlough, and after that I reported to...
What did you do during the furlough?
I was with the family.
You came back
I came
east?
came back to
Northeast.
Bronx, New York, yeah. And I spent time with the family. I took the girl I was very friends with. We went out on a couple of dates. I visited the company I was working for. And then I had to report to Camp Rucker in Dothan, Alabama.
Uh-huh.
I was with them maybe 2 weeks. And
Were you getting like specialized training there, or what did you...
infantry.
Oh, okay.
Infantry. Bayonet drills, firing the rifles, crawling through machine gun fire on your stomach with everything over your head,
Okay.
Going through mud, getting you used to in case what you had to do.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, I was only with them a couple of weeks with that division. The next thing I know, I was on a train heading for Norfolk, Virginia.
Okay.
And at that time, they were just finishing up the campaign in North Africa. And they wanted all Americans of Italian descent. That's right.
Really?
For going into Italy.
Oh my
Sicily
gosh.
and Italy.
Well, you didn't necessarily speak Italian.
Very little. Very little.
So why did
Me.
they... Yeah.
But a lot of the guys I was with, they all spoke it at home.
Did your folks speak it at home?
No.
No.
Mom was born on 112th Street and 2nd Avenue.
Oh.
My dad came from Sicily at the age of 3. Grandma and Grandpa, when the kids were all around, you spoke English.
Mm-hmm.
And they spoke English. And if they had all the relatives come over and they wanted to talk Italian, we had to leave.
Why?
We went to the front room.
They
But
didn't-
wanted to talk Italian.
Oh.
So we all went to the front room, or we went outside, or whatever. But
Now, what year was this when you were...
this is 1943.
When they shipped you to Italy?
We went to North Africa first.
Oh, North... Oh.
And that, to me, was a big surprise, because 23 days later, after we left Norfolk, Virginia, we landed in Oran, O-R-A-N, North Africa, which is near Casablanca, Castelli, and those surrounding areas.
Mm-hmm.
And as we were pulling dockside, I'm looking over, I didn't believe what I was seeing. Camels walking in the street.
Wow.
I knew the Bronx Zoo, that's why I had to see camels.
Wow.
And here the camels just walking by themselves.
Really?
In the street,
Free?
just walking by themselves. They had their handler with them.
Oh, okay.
And that was it, the freedom. I said, this is something.
Did you take pictures?
And no, I didn't. I didn't take pictures until much later because my camera was in my bags. The bag was still in the hull of the ship before we got off. And then after a few days being in North Africa, the invasion of Sicily was starting. And they put us on another ship. And that's when I joined the 3rd Division, 15th Regiment, E Company. And from Sicily, we went on into Italy, at Salerno, Italy, and worked our way up through. We got into Naples, and we pushed the Germans back, and they scuttled all the ships in the harbor, so we couldn't come in. They couldn't bring any ships in at the time. But we fought our way up and got into Naples. And then beyond Naples, a little town called Bagnoli. And that's where they had the King's Racetrack. And that's where we set up camp. Put our pup tents and everything else.
How many servicemen do you think were in the group?
We had 200 in our company.
Wow.
A division normally has about 18,000 troops in a division. A division consists of 3 regiments. Like our 3rd Division consists of the 7th Regiment, the 15th Regiment, and the 30th Regiment. And then you had all the other outfits allied to it, the artillery, and the quartermasters, the signal corps.
It must have been a large camp. I mean, to accommodate 200 some...
Oh, that was small. 200 people?
No. Oh.
Yeah, really small.
How did you live? I mean, did they make temporary housing?
We were in a little pup tent. We made our own tents.
Really?
In the infantry, we carried shelter halves, we called them. I had a half a shelter half. One of my buddies had the other half. So we would always match up. And we'd pair up together. And he had one half, and I had the other half. And that's how we make a tent.
Oh, wow.
And that's how we slept in it with the rain and all. Don't ever scratch it, because then the water would come through.
Wow.
So you never would touch the pup. But as we went on then, and we were fighting our way up, pushing the Germans back, and it got to be November of 43. Italy surrendered like October 3rd, October 4th.
Okay.
And they became our ally. And in fact, some of the Italian people who owned guns, the Germans were fleeing, they would turn around and would fire the retreating Germans.
Wow.
But in November of 43, I got hit. And,
By gunfire? Is it?
I think it was a tracer bullet that really caught me.
Uh-huh.
It broke the skin. And they sent me back to the field hospital. And from the field hospital, they sent me back to the general hospital, which was in Caserta, Italy. And that was the King's Palace, which they changed into a regular army hospital. Rooms, beds. And I spent 2 weeks. I spent Thanksgiving of 43
Wow.
in the hospital.
Where were you injured? Where did it hit?
And right across here.
Your hand.
So then I had...
Were you able to... Did you then go back to your same unit after?
I was sent back to this place I told you where the racetrack, where we set up pup tents.
Yes.
Well, now they had the big tents, the big pyramidal tents set up. We had 8 to a tent sleeping. I said, wow, what a changeover. So I was there for a while, and we were supposed to go back to our outfits. In the meantime, I had a piece of paper that said, typewritten and all by medical staff, unfit for further combat duty.
Why?
What had happened while I was in hospital, I was being interviewed by a medical doctor. And he said, tell me, how was it like to be in combat? I got scared at all times. I said, here you're running to an open field, machine gun fire, rifle fire, mortars dropping, artillery dropping, and you see your buddies going down, and you're wondering how the hell you didn't come, how you're still going. And it's one time, we were running for this open field with a BAR man, which is a Browning automatic rifle. We're going across the open field with the lieutenant leading us, and machine gun fire, everything's coming down. And he said, go down, the mortars started to come in at us. And he said, hit the deck, and we all hit the ground. And they said, okay, let's move out now, and I couldn't move. I couldn't move, and my sergeant said, what's the matter, Castelli? I said, my legs, they're frozen, I can't move. He said, come on. I tried to get up, I couldn't get up. He said, give me a hand. And he held my hand and he pulled me and I fell down. And
Oh, sorry. Wow. What a memory.
Excuse me.
It's fine. It's fine. Take your time.
Finally, he kept pulling my hand, and I got up and I fell. And now I had my legs, and he said, all right, remember your basic, come on, now zigzag. And we're running zigzag.
You were able to then get up?
I got up now. I was able to get up. The legs were starting to move. So as I started to running zigzag with the sarge, I dropped my rifle into automatic. And there's 16 clips each cartridge. And we were spread out this in a line, running across. And we had this hill to take. And I just emptied that clip, took another clip, shoved it into it, kept firing.
Wow. Could you see, was it the Germans you were firing at? Could you see them all?
Not until we got close enough when some of them threw their hands up and surrendered. And that was that part of it.
Wow. So your legs weren't injured. It was like a frozen...
No, I just froze.
Yeah.
It's a panic.
Yeah, of course.
You know, I'm 19 now. Am I going to make 20?
Yeah.
What's mom and dad, what's going to happen to them if I get killed or whatever, you know.
Wow, what a story.
These are all the thoughts that run through your mind.
Of course. And you had become friendly with your unit. These were all...
Oh, yeah, your buddies. Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
I thought very much of now, as I was sitting here talking, whatever happened to Captain Werschel. He was our company commander. Lieutenant Shields, who was my platoon leader. And Sergeant Price, who was the first sergeant, he had just gotten a battlefield commission. They promoted him to second lieutenant. And he was enjoying it being a second lieutenant for maybe 20 minutes. He got wounded.
Oh, so then you had to go home.
Well, they sent him to the hospital. I don't know what happened to him after that.
Oh.
And then Sergeant Crouch, who was my squad leader, I often wonder whatever happened to these guys.
You don't know.
They're all disappeared.
When there's combat like that, then do you then go back to the tent, the unit? I mean, do you sleep on beds, or how's that?
Yes,
cots?
yeah, we got cots then,
You had cots?
Because when you're in the infantry, you sleep anywhere you can.
Oh, what about eating?
Whatever.
Oh.
You had some canned stuff, try to open it.
Oh, they give you like rations?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever you could, sometimes you didn't eat for a couple of days. You were fighting. You were smoking like crazy.
Wow.
And if it was raining, you were soaking wet, you stayed with what you had on. You didn't have a bed to go to. You didn't have a house to go to. You stayed in that. For 62 days, I stayed in the same uniform.
Are you kidding? Oh, my God.
So that's when they went to the hospital.
Wow.
62 days in that uniform. We had set a record at that time of being on the line constantly.
Wow. Why wouldn't they change you out with another unit?
Because they didn't have any other units that had the fighting experience.
Wow.
And finally, when we were relieved, for Christmas of 43. By the 88 Division, was a Cloverleaf outfit, their insignia. They were pushed back by the Germans. And our regiment was called on. We spent Christmas on the line, back on the line, until we were able to hold the line, start pushing them back, and then we come back.
So is that why you got the Purple Heart before when you were injured?
Yes.
Yeah.
And now, as I said, I got a piece of paper. Because after I had this argument with this Army medic, lieutenant, I had told him,
Why did he say you weren't fit for combat anymore?
because of my actions. I screamed at him. I said, who the hell are you to try to tell me what was what? I said, we were scared. I used other words. And I said, this is my armor, this shirt. We didn't have any steel on us. What do you mean you think it was easy? Well, you had the best of training. But did you ever fire a gun, Lieutenant? I know you're a medical officer, you're not supposed to. But do you ever see combat in any way? 5 minutes of it? He's writing. He claimed that after I went before a medical board, and they said that being unfit for further combat duty because I was emotionally disturbed from combat, and I wouldn't be a good infantryman anymore. They call it psychoneurosis, neurasthenia, anxiety state, medical term. In other words, you're a nut.
Oh my God. So then what happened?
So then eventually they shipped me home.
They shipped you, so you didn't go back into the fighting arena at all?
No more.
How did you feel about that?
I was elated.
You were?
Because I was here, I'm in this tent, and I'm riding home, and all that. Castelli, pack your bags. Why, you know. You got a ship to catch out in the harbor. What do you mean? You're heading home. You're going stateside.
And you had been in Europe how long?
10 months now.
10 months.
So I boarded a truck. They took me down to the pier. I boarded the ship, the SS Castelli, an old banana boat. But anyway, we're coming down the Mediterranean, passing the Rock of Gibraltar, coming down the Atlantic Ocean, June 6, 1944.
Oh, wow.
They're broadcasting the landings in France. I said, oh my God, they're going to turn the ship around. With that, I hear my name, Huey! That was my nickname. Jeff Comley, guy I went to school with. He's a merchant marine. He hugged me. I thought it was somebody from home.
Where was he?
He was a merchant marine. He was on board the ship.
Oh, he's on board the same ship.
Yeah, he was a merchant marine.
Okay.
And I used to do it. He was one of the deck people. He grabbed me and hugged me and everything else. And he said, oh, you're going to have a nice trip going back home. He said, you ever Chick Norton? I said, yeah. Chick Norton used to work in the old Daniel Reeves grocery store on Katona Avenue, right at Woodlawn, where we lived.
Oh.
And I used the stateroom. I had hot meals. I had everything. And Chick said, as soon as we hit Norfolk, I'm calling your mother, let you know you're home. And that's what he did.
So the ship didn't get turned around to go back to
No, we
France?
went right to Norfolk.
Wow.
Right into Norfolk.
And how long then were you still in the service? That was 44.
That was in 44. I didn't get out of service until end of March 46.
So where were you?
When we landed, I got a 30-day furlough. And after that, I went to Camp Butner, North Carolina, for reassignment. And they had asked me, where would you like to serve? I said, Fort Totten. And they laughed at me.
Why?
They were too close to home.
Oh.
So they assigned me to Carlisle Barracks, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
That's how I got to be in Carlisle.
Okay.
And when they were moving the outfit out in early 46, They were going to Brook General Hospital in San Antonio, Texas. And I was down there, and now it was time for me to be discharged. I had enough points to get out.
So you were in a total of 4 years?
3 years and 15, 20 days.
So did they ask you to stay in?
Yes, they did. They wanted to promote me.
Oh.
Because I was good at what I was doing.
What were you doing?
I was setting up a post headquarters. I ran the headquarters as a sergeant. Anything that had to go by, had to go by me. For promotions, for movement, whatever it had to be. Check their training schedules. As I said, my experience with the fact that, good fortune, I was a typist. And I was able to type.
So that was one of the reasons why they used you for that.
Yes.
So they asked you to stay, but you didn't want to stay?
No.
Okay.
No. I wanted out. I had enough military,
Yeah,
enough training.
3+ years.
And that was it. I enjoyed it. And that was my stint.
How was it with the food in the barracks and the social life? How was the adjustment to that when you first started?
That was terrific because I had my own quarters, my own room in Carlisle Barracks, Pennsylvania.
But what about when you were in Europe? How was that?
In Europe, in the infantry, you slept where you could, you ate where you could, and if it rained or whatever, and that's what you stayed in. You didn't change clothes, you didn't have a bed to go to. That's how you lived in the infantry. 24/7, as the term goes.
Well, what if it was cold outside?
You were still in the cold. Snow or what? That's how that's the infantry.
Wow.
At least the artillery, they had their trucks, they had their bedrolls. They could sleep. Infantry, you didn't have that. We had our knapsack on our back and a half a shelter and a blanket.
Wow.
That's what we had. Now, to tell you about this, Combat Empty Man's Badge, that's a very interesting story.
Hold us up a little bit.
It's a very, very interesting story. Ernie Pyle, a great reporter, he was with us.
To report?
He was a reporter. He went through everything we were going through. And he wrote a beautiful, beautiful program to the higher-ups and to the War Department. If the Air Force can get flight pay, if the Navy submariners can get underwater pay, the infantry guys should be able to get something. Because they're out there constantly, snow, rain, hot weather, bad weather.
Sure.
They're on their back, same clothes. So that's what was made, the Combat Infantryman's Badge, by Ernie Pyle. He started that.
Really?
That gave us $10 a month more.
Oh, okay.
It was nothing.
Nice.
It was a lot of money then.
Yeah.
I mean, as a sergeant, I was making $86 a month.
Wow.
Unfortunately, Ernie Pyle then went to the Pacific to see what the war was like with the GIs in the Pacific. He was killed by a Japanese sniper. When we went, my wife and I, this other couple, we went to Hawaii. I visited his grave.
You did?
At the Punch Bowl.
Wow.
But he was the one responsible for us to get the Combat Infantryman's Badge.
Now, you were basically on the front lines.
Oh, yes.
All the time.
All the time. And when you saw a map of American troops, that was us.
Wow. Was that, you were shooting guns and trying to be safe, but wasn't it was loud, and how did you cope with that?
You were just trying to stay alive.
Really?
You put all your basic training together. And you did everything you tried to do, hit the ground.
Stay low.
Stay low, get behind a twig, get behind a tree, get behind a little branch, get behind a rock, a little boulder. Anytime you're trying to shoot. And just keep moving. Don't stay in one spot.
Now, how was it? You probably witnessed a lot of casualties.
Oh, yes.
And destruction.
Yes.
How did you deal with that?
With difficulty.
Yeah.
With difficulty. very much, Edna. Because when you see the guy you've been with, and he's on your left, and all of a sudden he goes down, and you go to try to help him, and you got a bullet hole right through here.
Oh, God.
And you can't do anything. He's gone. He's gone. You're freed.
Sure.
So what you have to do is keep moving yourself then. Otherwise you're going to be like that yourself. So you got to keep moving and move.
Wow. You couldn't even, I mean, you weren't in touch with your family and friends when you were over there at all, probably.
Only by mail.
Oh, by mail you were?
We had the V-mail. When we had an opportunity to write, we did.
How did that get transported?
Well, we had these, it was a V-mail. It was a pre-made mail for you.
Oh, to write home with.
Yeah, it was a regular form, and you just filled that in, and the V-mail went off. They took it.
Did you get mail too? You received mail?
Yes.
You did? From family?
Yes. Now, I'll tell you a funny story. I hadn't received mail for maybe a month, and we were in reserve at the time. And a mail call, Castelli. Oh yeah.
Wait, where were you then?
This is in Italy.
In Italy.
And Castelli. Oh yeah. The mail clerk hands me a package. Oh, Castelli got food. Castelli got food. My Aunt Tess, who was on my dog tags, when I opened it all up, it was a shoe shine kit.
Oh, gee.
A shoe shine kit.
Oh, gee. Why did she think to do that?
But I was a nut insofar as my shoes always being shined.
Oh.
As a young person.
Wow.
I either with my black and white shoes, I took care of them, or my brown shoes, my Cordovans, they were always spick and span, always. Mm-hmm. In fact, one time my leggings were so cruddy, they were muddy, I took them off, and I was washing them wherever I could.
Huh.
And we got to, let's move out. Carrying wet leggings.
Wow.
So he said, put them on. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Well, your buddies were probably very disappointed in that package.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
Everybody. Me too. It always became a joke in the family. Anytime we had a big family get together later on, I would always tell that story.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
So, many times veterans, in the service, you would get time off. You had no time off.
Yes, I did.
You did? What did you do?
You got 30 days a year.
Oh.
So you could break it up any way you wanted to. I normally broke it up like 15 days here and then 15. That's how when I was back in the States.
But when you were in Europe?
You didn't take time.
No.
No, you didn't get your furlough. If you were fighting, no, it just carried over.
Oh, I see. So when you came back then, what did you do during your furlough time?
I had my 30 days that would do me. Went to the movies.
You go home to visit, or?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you did?
I lived at home.
Oh, you lived at home?
For 30 days. Oh, yeah.
Oh, during the furlough, yeah.
Yes, yeah. I used to have it at home.
Now, you weren't married at that time?
No.
Now, where were you when the war ended?
I was in Carlisle Barracks,
Okay.
Pennsylvania.
When you were sent home after that period when they said you needed to leave and your ship arrived in, where was it? Not at Norfolk, in the States.
In North Africa?
No, when you left the European.
When I left Italy,
Yeah.
we come down the Mediterranean on the SS Cristobal.
And you ended up where?
Into Norfolk, Virginia.
Norfolk, Virginia, okay.
Yes, that was when as I said earlier, we come through the Straits of Gibraltar out into the Atlantic Ocean, and over the ship's loudspeaker they're broadcasting the landings in France.
Oh, right.
June 6, 1944, and I'm on my way home already.
Okay. So how was it adjusting to civilian life? After that 44, then you were still in for another year?
I was into 1946.
46. So after that, how was the adjustment to civilian life?
I didn't have a problem. I was working during the day, going to school at night.
Now, where did you go to, was that when you finished high school then?
Yes.
And then you went to college?
Right.
What was the name of the school again?
The Academy of Advanced Traffic,
Oh, right,
which was an offshoot of the University of Chicago.
right.
And that's how I got my education to become a practitioner before the Interstate Commerce Commission.
Was that what you did most of the rest of your working career?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Selling, handling the cases before the Interstate Commerce Commission, being promoted along the lines, different things I was doing. And then when I got out of service in March of 46, the end of 46, I took Ida, the girl I was friendly with, I took her out to dinner and proposed to her.
Oh, pretty soon after you were discharged?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And she said, I have a good feeling for you, but I don't think I love you like you love me.
Oh.
And I said, okay. I said, I didn't think, we're ready yet, whatever. She said, no, why don't we give ourselves 6 months apart?
Oh.
I said, okay, we won't see one another for 6 months? Okay. So that's how that went. And this only like 4 months have passed by, and I'm coming out of Mass at 1 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. I went to the 12 o'clock Mass, and she saw me. She said to her sister, I love him.
Oh.
And Annie said, well, go tell him. She said, it's not right for us to for girls to do that.
Oh, times of, well, that's funny. She's very progressive back then.
Yeah.
Wow. So what did she do?
So Annie said, let me handle it. So one night coming home on a train, Annie's on the same train with me.
Mm-hmm. That's her sister?
Yeah, my sister. And she said, your birthday's coming up pretty soon. And Mom and Dad want to throw you a little party. I said, well, what about Ida? Oh, yeah, she wanted to throw a party too, yeah. And that's how she was able to get me.
Oh,
We got together then.
You got together then.
And we got engaged New Year's Eve.
Of 48?
46, 47.
Oh.
46, going into 47. And we got, after figuring things out, dollar-wise, a whole bit, how long it would take, this is what we wanted to do. And it was settled on July 10th of 1948 to get married.
And her family was also in New York? Lived
Yes,
in New York?
Yes, they lived in Yonkers.
Okay.
We lived in Woodlawn, and Woodlawn was the last town in the Bronx before you went into Yonkers, to Westchester County.
And then, so I've met your son, Peter. You had other children too?
Michael, our oldest son, was born on New Year's Eve,
Uh-huh.
1951. Prior to Michael, my wife had a miscarriage.
Oh.
Michael was born. And she had another miscarriage. And Peter was born in April 10th of 1954.
Uh-huh.
And then she had another miscarriage.
Oh, my goodness.
And then our daughter Linda was born
Wow.
April 25th, 1957. So Michael was 51, Peter was 54, Linda was 57.
Wow.
Michael graduated from University of North Carolina. He had his degree in engineering. He stayed in North Carolina, and he was great at math and calculus. So he taught senior year high school and first year college, junior college.
Nice.
And right there in North Carolina, right outside of Charlotte, Morganton. And then, I'm trying to remember. Then anyway, Michael gave up teaching and came up home. and he living with us. Peter was already married, had his home, he and Elaine, and had his own business. So Michael was working with Peter.
Oh.
And after a while, Michael said, we said at the dinner table, Mom, Dad, I can't afford to live up here.
Oh.
Too expensive. Because he was away, he was down there, for quite a while. So a friend of his suggested, come down and visit with me.
To North Carolina?
No, to Florida.
Oh, Florida.
To St. Petersburg.
Oh.
So Michael went to St. Petersburg, and this is an amazing story. His friend had a cleaning service. He said, Michael, why don't you try something like that? So Michael said, what do you have to do? So his friend Roger told him. So Michael got all his paperwork from St. Petersburg, Tampa, and the state of Florida. Got his seal, and he called the business Castle, Castle. He's had a Castelli, Castle, Castle Industries. And this one day, he saw this great big window place in Tampa, Florida, green building, all windows. He said, it's a nice place to go in. So he walked in, and he said, I'm Michael Castelli, this is my business, I'd like to see the person who's in charge of janitorial services. So this secretary said, well, I don't know if she can see you, but I'll try. And the next thing, she goes in one door, the next thing, this woman comes out, Michael! She's in charge, she's the vice president in charge. She and Michael dated.
Oh, you're kidding. They knew each other.
Yeah.
How did he know she was there?
No.
Oh my gosh.
This is just dumb luck.
Oh my gosh.
So needless to say, he got the whole building.
Wow. As an accountant, you mean?
So Michael had 60 people working for him at the time he was killed.
He was killed. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. He,
In the service?
on his motorcycle.
Oh.
He had just finished a trip. He went all the way out to where the 4 presidents are at in South Dakota.
Okay.
And then he shipped their motorcycles back home by truck, and they flew back home. And this one day, November 29th, he all the people said, Michael, put your helmet on. I'm going to put it on right away. Well, he went out to see a client around noontime. And he was on his way back to his complex, which is right there in St. Petersburg on a bay, Tampa Bay. Beautiful, beautiful complex he had.
Was he married at the
No,
time?
he was single.
Ah.
And he was coming off the ramp. He did about 35 miles an hour, according to a witness. And the rear wheel of the motorcycle, they had all these like white plastic line arrows, Well, the rear wheel hit that and stopped, and it ejected him.
Oh.
He didn't have his helmet. He went back this way, according to the witnesses. And he landed on his back, and he had gone on the pavement, his head was being bounced like this.
Oh my goodness.
So we got the call. Peter called me on the phone. He said, Dad, pack a bag. Michael's been hurt. I already made flight reservations, and I'll pick you and Mom up and Linda in a few minutes. And we flew down that night, and he was in the intensive ward. That was November 29th. And
Is that in the 70s or?
16 years ago.
Oh.
It'll be 16 years this December.
Oh.
That was November 29th, and we stayed down there. Peter and Linda came back up home, And then they found out he was still in a coma. Linda came back down, and she did all her work right there at Michael's home, because she worked for North Shore.
Oh.
So she was able to do it that way. And then finally the surgeons had said, there's no hope.
Oh.
He's a complete vegetable. We tried everything. And
So he never regained consciousness after the accident?
Bobby?
After the accident, he didn't regain consciousness?
No way, no.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
And all he had was a scratch on his elbow and a scratch on his knee. The rest is all here.
Oh, my gosh.
As the surgeon said, the neurosurgeon said, if he had the helmet on, we wouldn't even be here talking.
Really? Wow.
Michael had one helmet on his bike and 7 helmets in his garage.
Oh.
So that was 2000 that he died, December 26th.
Wow.
At 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, I'm so
He
sorry.
went beyond Christmas,
Oh.
so it would be Christmas Day.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
So it was, Peter was good. Peter was terrific for me.
Yeah. But,
He was my right arm then.
and your daughter lived close by too?
Yep,
Good, yeah.
yep.
You're very fortunate.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
So we brought Michael's body back up home,
Mm-hmm.
and we have him buried in Millville Cemetery, which is 5 minutes from the house.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
And my wife used to go up there every day until she was stricken. She was stricken with cancer,
Oh.
and she had her right breast removed. And very fortunately, she had a great doctor
Mm-hmm.
who my daughter recommended, because my daughter worked with all the cancer doctors at North Shore.
Was she also a doctor, your daughter?
No, she was administrative
Uh-huh.
for the doctors.
Mhm.
She headed up the whole office for them.
Mm-hmm.
So she knew most of the doctors who came out, who were interns
Oh, that's good.
before they
Yeah.
went into specialties.
Yeah.
So Dr. Howe, he, when he operated on Ida, he had said, you're going to listen to me. You have cancer. You're going to be operated on. We're going to remove your breast. I'll talk to you after the operation. And the operation's over, and he says to her, I was there, you're not a candidate for chemo, nor
Radiation?
radiation.
Mhm.
Thank you. I'm going to put you on nutritional pills. You're going to take 6 in the morning, you're going to take 6 at night. Edna, to this day, my wife never lost a strand of hair.
Wow.
She's done very well with her cancer. They had breast removed. She sees a cancer doctor once a year now.
Wow. Terrific. Wow.
But unfortunately, she suffered a stroke
Oh.
almost 3.5 years ago.
Uh-huh.
September 5th, 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And again, very fortunately, she was a window away from dying.
Oh.
But we got her at the Stony Brook.
We're lucky to have Stony Brook here because it's a great,
Yes.
great hospital.
Yeah.
Mm.
Very fortunately, I had all of Ida's medications on me. I carried them with me. I still do in my pocket. All her medications. Because they rushed Ida into a triad, and they took me to this other nurse's area.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, Mr. Castelli, if you quick memory, if we need this information possible. I said, what is it? We need her medication so we can try to do something. I said, just a minute. Well, I took out the whole piece of paper.
Wow.
She couldn't believe it.
Wow.
She kissed me.
Oh.
And then she called where they had Ida. And this is what she does, this is what she does.
Thank God you had that. Thank goodness you had that.
So very fortunately, again, Peter was there with me. And she pulled through.
Wow. Fantastic.
from Stony Brook, she went to St. Charles.
Mm-hmm.
And they started to teach her all over again. And after St. Charles, we had the Catholic Health Services come to the house every day,
Mm-hmm.
who for walking, who for exercising, who for training, who for therapy, other talking,
Yes.
the whole bit. And she came along real fine. And her memory's not that great, but she's still here.
Yeah. Happens to all of us, the memory.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, she might remember
Good.
things from years ago, and she forget what she had yesterday. And I do too.
I do too. I do too. Wow. Oh, I'm glad to hear she's. And
So
you had
that's
your
how it all came about.
68th anniversary recently, you said.
Yeah, 68 years
Married.
married.
Fantastic.
July 10th.
July 10th. Now, I just have a few more questions, Gene, if you don't mind.
Go right ahead.
How do you think your wartime experiences affected your life?
It gave me such a feeling of being in the infantry. I was like naked at all times. I respected life. I respected others. I wouldn't want any of my children to be in the infantry if they had to go into service.
Mm-hmm.
It taught me an awful lot of coping with death, seeing it right there. It made me more compassionate than a hardened individual. I think that might answer. I hope,
Yep.
Edna.
What about some life lessons you might have learned in the military?
I try to not militarize the home, but have some sort of rules and regulation.
Order.
Right.
Yeah.
And you don't leave your house, don't leave your room a mess.
That's right.
This is what I did. This is how I did. I taught my kids how to tie a Windsor knot.
Yes, good. Any other message you might like to leave for young people watching this video, future generations?
Pray that there's never any more wars.
Yeah.
Love your country. Respect your parents, property, and all other people. And everything will be dandy.
Thank you. Some very good advice. Anything else we haven't discussed, Gene, that you might like to add?
Not really.
We pretty much.
My military life was good. My private life was great. I'm a very fortunate person because going overseas, I was 18. I became 19, hoping I'd see 20, and then hoping I'd see 21. And here I am now at 91.
Wow.
I'm going to be 92 in another month or so.
It's terrific.
So
Great for us.
So all I can say is that do what you have to do, but do it the right way. And if the doctor tells you, don't smoke, don't smoke. I gave up smoking October of 1998.
Really? Good for
Yes.
you. And you're healthy now.
I haven't had it since, and I feel good about it.
Good. Gene, that's terrific. Thank you. Thank you so much for all you went through for us and
Thank you, Edna.
for sharing all your memories.
Thank you very much,
Thank you
Edna.
so much.
Thank you.